2 ceremonial knives, 1 murder. Could there have been a switcheroo? Let's find out. Hi, I'm Allie.
And I'm Brianne.
Okay, so check this out. I slept 4 hours because I fell into a rabbit hole reading this absolutely wild case last night. Coffee is my blood today.
Meanwhile, I did yoga, had toast, and tried to keep Allie from texting me screenshots at 2 a.m. Sorry, not sorry.
And welcome to The Veil, Unsolved and Unbelievable. Today we're diving into the murder of Henry Nowak, and my personal theory I call the double blade switch. Brianne, are you ready to be convinced?
I mean, I'm ready to poke holes. A knife swap in the middle of a crime scene under police presence sounds like a Netflix brainstorm, not a thing that happened.
Here's what went down. In December 2025, in the Belmont Road area of Portswood, Southampton, 18-year-old Henry Nowak, a first-year accountancy student at the University of Southampton, was fatally stabbed. He'd been out earlier. Toxicology later said he was below the drink-drive limit. There were no eyewitnesses to the actual stabbing. Neighbors heard cries for help and called police. He was pronounced dead early the next morning. The man convicted was 23-year-old Vikram Digwa. He was carrying 2 ceremonial knives that night, a small kirpan under his clothing, and a larger 21-centimeter ceremonial dagger worn openly. Court evidence established that the larger external blade was the murder weapon, with 5 wounds or cuts, including a fatal chest wound and injuries to the legs. A lot of the case leaned on video. There's Snapchat footage of Henry filming while Digwa is walking away, Henry cheekily saying, "You're a bad man." Digwa replies, "I am a bad man." After the stabbing, Digwa filmed Henry again, including as he lay dying. That filming later counted as an aggravating factor at sentencing. When police arrived, they spoke first to Digwa while Henry was on the ground saying, "I've been stabbed and I can't breathe." Body-worn camera footage later released by Hampshire police shows an officer replying, "Don't think you have, mate." Henry was handcuffed as his lungs were filling with blood and became unresponsive before EMS was called. That handling was referred to the IOPC for investigation, and it sparked nationwide anger when the footage dropped in June 2026. In court, the jury rejected self-defense. The judge said he was sure Henry hadn't said anything racist, that Henry had only cheekily called him a bad man, and that Digwa had no injuries. In June 2026, Digwa was given life with a minimum term of 21 years. His mother, Kiran Kaur, was convicted for assisting an offender after taking the knife from the scene and hiding it at home.
And just to say it clearly, the court found the 21-centimeter ceremonial dagger did it. The smaller kirpan wasn't the murder weapon.
Totally. Now here's my theory. The double blade switch. 2 knives on scene, a chaotic first few minutes, and a window where I believe a mix-up could have taken root. Not a Hollywood mid-scene heist. I mean the kind of confusion that scrambles initial perceptions, and maybe creates space for a blade to be moved or misidentified in that first, frantic slice of time. Think about the ingredients. It's dark. Adrenaline is high. Officers talk first to the calm man. The victim is literally telling them he's been stabbed and isn't believed. Digwa calls his parents who arrive before police, and Kiran Kaur removes the weapon and takes it home. That's not me speculating. That's the act that got her convicted. In that swirl, my brain goes, could the larger external dagger and the smaller kirpan have been confused even momentarily? Or could a near-twin blade have been nearby, especially if the family had access to multiple ceremonial knives? Layer in this. A local Gurdwara later said it had banned Digwa back in 2023 for stealing ceremonial Shaster knives and reported it to police. No charges followed. After the case, reports said Digwa, his father, and his brother were charged with other weapons offenses. So I picture a home where multiple ceremonial blades could exist. Handles that look similar, cloth wraps that look similar. It wouldn't take much for a human eye, already overloaded, to miss a switch or a substitution in the moment.
Wait. You're saying you think they swapped the murder weapon for a look-alike before police could lock the scene? That's a very specific claim.
I'm saying it's possible there was a moment where the wrong blade was in the wrong hands at the wrong time. Even if the final evidence points back to the 21-centimeter dagger, the confusion matters. We know Kaur took a knife from the scene. We know officers let Digwa speak with his brother, and in a covert recording, his brother told him to claim self-defense. Digwa even worried about street cameras. Those seconds are exactly when a coin could change hands. Isn't that bananas? And then the body cam chaos. An officer tells Henry, "Don't think you have, mate," when he says he's been stabbed. They handcuff him while he's saying he can't breathe. To me, that's a snapshot of a scene where priorities were off-kilter and attention was on the wrong person. If focus was that skewed, a blade leaving the scene before a tight perimeter feels, sadly, plausible. For context, after sentencing a sociology professor, Gurnam Singh testified that the big, outwardly worn blade associated with the Nihang order isn't a strict requirement of Sikh practice. He said there was no good reason to wear that larger blade in public. That distinction between a traditional kirpan and a larger discretionary blade matters. If you've got both on you and family who know Shastar, the odds of mix-ups or quick moves aren't crazy in a panic. Now let me be clear. The court found the 21-centimeter ceremonial dagger was the weapon. I'm not saying the jury got it wrong. I'm saying those first minutes left enough shadow that a switch window existed. And that's why I believe my double-blade switch theory holds some weight, at least as a lens on the chaos.
Okay, countertime. The prosecution's spine of evidence was coherent without any switch. Snapchat showed Henry filming while Digwa walked away earlier, which undercut immediate self-defense. There were no eyewitnesses, yes, but the blood trail, the forensic scene, and the wound pattern told a straight story. 5 wounds or cuts, a fatal chest wound, and injuries to the legs. Those injuries align with a larger blade, not a small kirpan. Expert testimony made the difference clear. Gurnam Singh's evidence separated the religiously recognised kirpan from the bigger outward dagger, and the court specifically identified that 21-centimetre dagger as the murder weapon. The chain of evidence was sufficient to convict, even though Carr concealed the weapon later. So in legal and forensic terms, the murder weapon wasn't ambiguous. Also, the defendant's story fell apart. He claimed racist provocation and a fight. The judge said he was sure Henry hadn't said anything racist. Henry's only taunt was "bad man," and Digwa had no injuries. The brothers' curbside advice to claim self-defense, and Digwa worrying about cameras, screams post hoc strategy. The jury rejected it fast. They were instructed they could go manslaughter if intent wasn't clear, but they still picked murder. That suggests the weapon, the sequence, and the videos made sense without a swap.
I hear you, but the mother taking the knife before police even locked the scene? That's a huge variable. If there was a time to muddy the waters, that was it.
It's exactly why she was convicted of assisting an offender. But even with that misconduct, the prosecution traced the weapon back. Forensic findings plus the videos plus the lack of injuries on Digwa plus Snapchat's earlier retreat moment equals a clean narrative. If a swap happened, the forensic picture should wobble. It didn't.
But early perception still mattered. Officers prioritized talking to the suspect who said racism and being punched, while the victim said, "I've been stabbed, I can't breathe." If they can get the medical triage that wrong, it makes me think they could also miss a weapon detail in that very first window.
Perception was flawed, no question. The IOPC referral exists for a reason, and the force even released the footage in June 2026 for transparency. But acknowledging poor triage isn't evidence of a weapon swap. It shows bias in who got believed first. It doesn't rewrite the forensics.
Fair, and while we're talking context, Henry's family said his treatment at the scene was inhumane and degrading, but they also thanked the murder investigation team. His dad said he holds only Digwa responsible and didn't want the case used to fuel division or hatred. That matters. This isn't about blaming a community. This is about one man's choices and a system's response under pressure.
Yes. And on that note, Sikh community leaders responded too. The Supreme Sikh Council said they'd review safeguards around carrying ceremonial knives and boost education on responsibilities. The Sikh Federation reported an increase in anti-Sikh hate crime after the trial and asked the Home Secretary for action. So again, we can talk about one offender, and still hold space for a community trying to prevent backlash.
Public reaction was loud. The Prime Minister called it an awful, shocking case and welcomed the IOPC work. Opposition voices hammered police priorities. Nigel Farage did an 8-minute video about two-tier policing. Elon Musk even called the officers disgusting and offered to fund legal actions. Protests in Southampton turned heated. Police said 11 officers and a police dog were injured and there were 2 arrests. Emotions were off the charts.
Right? And the temporary deputy chief constable said basically that what came out in court should leave no doubt about who lied to officers that night and why police didn't grasp it straight away. That's a blunt acknowledgement of bad real-time judgment, not a hint of a cover-up.
So, do I still believe my double-blade switch theory has a pulse? Yeah, I do. I think the combination of 2 knives on one person, a mother removing the weapon, a brother advising self-defense, and officers tunnel visioning the wrong way created a window where a mix-up could live. But the court's conclusion about the 21-centimeter dagger is the official truth, and I respect that.
I think the cleanest read is the one the jury accepted. No credible self-defense, no racist provocation by Henry, a fatal chest wound from the larger ceremonial dagger, plus aggravating filming afterward. A switch theory isn't needed to explain anything we actually see in the record.
Greater question, then. How much do those first perceptions at a crisis scene shape reality? If officers had believed Henry's words right away, if the triage had flipped, would the public reaction be different? Would trust be higher today?
Point is, perception can tip outcomes before evidence settles anything. Training and bias mitigation aren't optional in moments like that.
Recommendation time. If this case hit a nerve for you, watch a solid documentary on police accountability and how on-scene decisions build or break public trust. Then share it with someone who only saw the headlines.
Right, moving on to real life, weekend plans. I'm doing a low-key pub quiz and pretending to be an expert on 80s music.
I'm totally dragging my EMF meter through a supposedly haunted lane. If a ghost wants to weigh in on knife evidence, I'm available.
Thanks for listening, friends. Be kind, be curious, and double-check everything.
We appreciate you. Stay safe out there, and keep questioning the unknown.